Hey guys, and welcome to episode 14 of my Out of the Park Baseball 21 series with the expansion DuPage Pistol Shrimp. It is Friday, June 4th. We are 41 and 25, good for first place in the AL Central. Hasn't all been good, but we are in first place. We're 4 games up on the Twins. We have the third best record in the major leagues. And if we take a look, let's start with pitching because pitching is where we've been the most successful. Louis Patino, we picked him up in the offseason, and he's been great. I have to sneeze. Sorry about that. Louis Patino, 8-1, 2.72 ERA. Opponents are only hitting a $1.96 off him. He's been really, really good. Missed a couple starts at the beginning of the season, but has been the ace we wanted. And the only bad part of that is he will likely opt out of this contract at the end of the year. So that's something we will have to deal with. Sui Chan Yu has pitched really well in his second season, 6-3, 3.74 ERA, striking out exactly one batter per inning. Anthony Kay, Jesus Luzardo, and Sean Cervantes all having various degrees of success and non-success. Cervantes is a bit of a disappointment considering his first 2 seasons were pretty good, so I'm hoping he bounces back. Haifeng Yap, his first year as a closer, he's been fantastic. Exactly what we were hoping for when we traded Kozowski in the offseason. And then everybody else has been... I mean, my bullpen hasn't been great, but it's, my three main bullpen arms, Yap, Jones, and Baz, have all been pretty good, so... hopefully they will turn it around as we go forward here. Now for the hitting, or for our hitting, I guess, it hasn't been great. We've had a couple of players that are doing all right. Darian Perez continues to hit well, even though his average and on base is down a little bit. I'll take his numbers. Bo Naylor has done okay since coming back from injury. And Bob Ray in his first full season is doing pretty well. Caden Wallace also hitting well. But Waldhart is only hitting 244. Lewin Diaz only hitting 231. Alec Thomas is having just a terrible season, 221. 58 OPS plus, good for negative half a WAR. It hasn't been great offensively. Jason Dominguez, we had to call up due to some injuries, and he hasn't been great. He's also been forced into the lineup because we're really, really left-handed heavy. Honestly, what I would like to do is trade RAs, but nobody will take him at this point. So not having Noelvi Marte in the lineup has been an issue. Now Richard Urena is pending, so we could be down to our third string shortstop, which means that Kessinger is going to be our everyday starting shortstop. It hasn't been great. Has not been great offensively, but we're still in first place, so I can't complain too much. I think ultimately what we're going to be looking to do as we get closer to the trade deadline is try to make ourselves a little bit less left-handed, and I don't know if that means trying to move RAs or Diaz or even Alec Thomas, and try to find a right-handed version of that batter to try to even things out a little bit. But that's not for right now. So, So for right now, it's draft, and I think we're picking last. Yeah, we're picking last, and we're actually picking. So we got 2 picks in the top 37. So we have our first round pick, and then we have our supplemental pick, and I think we're going to take a couple of bats. Jim Lewis. What happened there? OSA, the mock draft, thinks we're going to take Jim Lewis, who's a decent outfielder. I mean, good contact, good gap power, some home run power, great speed, and will develop into a pretty good outfielder. And Andy Rowland, a shortstop. Good power, not a whole lot of contact ability, but pretty good defensively. So maybe we'll see. So let's go to the draft. Let's pick to us and see what's available. So Lewis is available, and is that who they're going to tell me to take? Yeah, Jim Bugger Lewis out of Long Beach State. I mean, that's obviously a great school. Pat Grabowski, probably a better bat, but he's impossible, so we might see if we can sign him later on. It's available for pitchers. Whoa. Those are some good bullpen arms. And I would really hesitate to take a bullpen arm with the first pick, but I mean, Bobby Knorr could be too, wow. He could be too good to pass up. I think we're going to take Bobby Knorr. I mean, that's just too much, too easy to pass up. And then maybe McBrearty. I think that we're going to take a chance, and we're going to take Knorr. We're going to hope that McBrearty makes it down to us. Does. Jim Cubby McBrearty went to Oklahoma. We're going to take him. Really improve that pitching staff almost instantly. And that's good because most of the good pitchers are gone now. So if we go to hitters, Grabowski's still there. So let's do this now. Let's do what we normally do and see if we can find a pitcher that's got some hitting chops. A couple of decent ones here. Joe Eads and Jeremy Shapiro. And no real pitchers that have hitting ability in this draft. So we go Shapiro. Poor competition, but OSA loves him. Yeah, we're going to take Shapiro. Now is that Impala? They have Impossible. Let's see if the Impossible first baseman will be our next pick. He is. I think we're going to try to get Grabowski. Get some good power. Let's go to our next pick. What do we have left? Not a whole hell of a lot. Sorry if you can hear the traffic in the background. I live on a relatively busy street, and it's gorgeous outside today, so windows are open. Yeah, there's not really anybody. I mean, this Sam Lucci guy, decent outfielder. Maybe he'll develop a bit better bat, but that's fine. Anything left? Jared Broughton. He's got some power. Yeah, he's not bad. He's got some decent power. OSA likes him more than we do, but decent power, decent home run power, decent gap power. Will potentially be a good outfielder. Yeah, Jared Broughton. Is there anybody left? Let's just look at pitchers real quick. Let's do it like this. Doesn't look like anybody's left. I guess we could take someone like this. I mean, he's got 6 pitches, so I think we take Jake Lewis and make him a pitcher, make him a starter. Do that, draft player, and we will call it a draft. So we'll find Jake Lewis, we'll make him a starter. Then we will sign our draftees, and then we'll sim ahead to the international signings. So let's take a look and see what these guys want. All right, so the first thing we have to do is, I've already forgotten his name because I'm old. That's what happens when you get old. Draft history. Lewis. And we are going to make him starting pitcher. Yeah, I mean, he becomes a 2-star starter, but I mean, decent stuff, decent movement. He's got 6 pitches, so and we'll actually make him a 2-way player. Maybe that gets him some extra playing time and he can develop one or the other. I don't know, but we'll give it a whirl. All right, so our first round pick, Bobby Knorr. Second round pick, Jim McBrearty. Sign all the ones that we can sign first. We have $16 million left, which we may throw all into Grabal. I don't think I'm going to spend $16 million on it. If he wants $7 or $8 million, I could go for that. Significantly over 8. So would 10 be success? Let's give him 10. Yeah, I mean, an 18-year-old with those kind of hitting chops, I mean, sure. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and now we're going to sim ahead to July 2nd. We're going to keep an eye out for deals. There isn't much available on the trade block right now. At least much, I mean, I can't really afford anything. That's the problem. I mean, there are some pitchers. We don't really need any pitchers. There aren't a ton of good hitting options, at least that are right-handed. Trevor Larnach, who is a former Shrimp, is a lefty. Willie Calhoun's lefty. Carlos Correa is available, but he's making a lot of money. $20 million. Wouldn't be a bad option, especially with us struggling at short with injuries. So, maybe we can get Charlotte to eat some of his money. We'll see how that goes. But there's not a whole lot available, so I'm going to keep an eye on the trade block. Austin Hayes would have been a really nice option, but Miami was asking for a ton. I mean, he makes 11, so it's not. And if we go to make this work, it's only Perez. But if we let's just put Alec Thomas in there just to see what happens. DuPage can't afford it. See, the problem is I can't afford his contract. They can't afford his contract. So. And they don't have any money to even this out. So I would have to find somebody. Who's the worst player on your 40-man? Contract. Take someone like Austin Roberts. Oh, I would have to give somebody, right. Who's the worst player on my 40-man? Yeah, see, they don't. Oh, no, he will take that. All right, so there's some work. And Austin Hayes is offensively, he's pretty good. He's a captain. He's not as good in the outfield. And his contract is up after this year, whereas Alec Thomas, potentially is just in the middle of a slump. So I think I'm going to hold off on that, but that's the kind of thing I'm going to have to mess around with and see what I can find out. So when we come back, it'll be July 2nd, and we may or may not have made a deal. Hang tight, and you'll find out. Be right back. All right, guys, we are back. It is July 2nd. We are 53-36 and still in first place in the American League Central. We're 5 games up on the Tigers, 6 games up on the Twins. A couple of things happened in the time between the draft and now, so we'll take a look at that. So where were they? That's not where I wanted to go. Here. So, first deal was with the Toronto Blue Jays, and it's a little surprising. We sent Anthony Kay and a minor league catcher to the Blue Jays, getting a 19-year-old prospect named Johnny Brito. K is, he hasn't pitched badly, but his contract was up at the end of the year. He was due to be a free agent, and the amount he was asking for was borderline as to whether or not he would accept a qualifying offer or not. And I didn't want to take that chance. I didn't want him to get away for nothing, and I didn't want to offer him 15 and have him take it. So we moved him to Toronto for Brito. And Brito is a 19-year-old shortstop. He is it's changed. He was like the number 60-something prospect in baseball. But good contact, good gap power, good home run power, good avoid Ks. And we are playing him. We're playing him at shortstop so that he can learn how to play that position a little bit better, as we are light in the infield in terms of prospects. So that was the first deal. Second deal we made was with the Cleveland Indians. We sent Mark Neusbauer, even though he's got a great name, to the Cleveland Indians, and got back a 23-year-old first baseman named Alex Padilla. Padilla is further along in his development and likely will be our starting first baseman next year, as I don't suspect that we will bring Lewin Diaz back. You can see great contact, great gap power, decent home run power, and great avoid Ks. So he's not going to walk a lot. He's not going to be a high on-base percentage guy, but he's going to be a high average and high gap power / he'll probably hit 15 to 20 home runs, and he'll probably hit 40 to 50 doubles. So he'll spend the rest of the year in AAA, and he will be up with us with the big club next season. And then the final trade was a prospect deal, dealing from a position of strength to get better in a place where we needed to be. We traded Adin Castillo, 20-year-old starting pitcher, number 92 prospect in baseball, along with a 23-year-old two-star starting pitcher, and getting David Del Rio and Judson Fabian back. Fabian moved right to our big league roster. He was that right-handed bat that we were looking for. Doesn't have a great eye, so he's going to swing and miss, and he's going to swing at a lot of pitches, but pretty high contact, pretty high gap power, and pretty high power. You can see he's already 6 for 16 with a couple of home runs. He's playing primarily against lefties, but that evens out our lineup a little bit. And then the big get, though, is David Del Rio, a 20-year-old second baseman, the number 57 prospect in baseball. Is going to spend, he's seeing 392 in AA right now, so I'll probably, in fact, let's do that right now. Let's promote him to AAA, and it's not long before he will be our starting second baseman, which means that the days are numbered for Luis Arraez. So those are the deals we made leading up to the international free agent signing date. You can see our offense is still struggling. We're below average offensively pretty much across the board. Our starters are what are keeping us in it. We did bring up Miles Jansen from AAA to take K's place, and he's done pretty well through 3 starts. So our pitching is keeping us alive while our offense bumbles around here a little bit. So hopefully the moves we made will improve that as we go forward. So let's look at the international amateurs. I haven't looked at this yet, and there ain't a whole lot available. Wow, that's too bad. Israel Quintanilla. I don't want to spend $5 million on that. We may skip. I think we're going to skip and save the money. Put the money elsewhere. So we are in a position where we need to improve our offense. RAs, because he's not hitting 340, isn't really providing us value. 775 OPS, 1.6 WAR, not stealing it. I mean, he never stole a lot of bases, but if he's not hitting 340, he's not worth $23 million. So we may look to move him just to cut the salary. And then let the chips fall where they may when it comes to offense at that position for the rest of the year. Alec Thomas is starting to hit a little bit, so and he's also our starting center fielder, so I'm probably just going to ride it out with him, and whatever happens, happens. Beyond that, there's not a whole lot I can do. I'd love to get Marte back in 6 weeks. So he'll be back middle of August, so we'll be able to plug him in, get Urena out of the everyday lineup. But other than that, there's nobody here that I'm really going to replace. I'm not going to replace Perez or Hart or Wallace. Diaz is in the last year of his contract. I'll just let him play it out. Rob Ray, I'm not gonna take him out. He's our top prospect. Bo Naylor. So yeah, I mean, we might have to see who's available from a trade block perspective, and we have a little bit of money, and we should have some more free up next year. But if we look at the trade block, there aren't a lot of bats. Nolan Arenado is there, but he's 36 and he's not quote-unquote Nolan Arenado anymore. And he's making $49 million, so there's that. Beyond that, there aren't a lot of great offensive talents here. Laureano isn't bad, but he's only hitting 237. So yeah, there aren't a ton of upgrades here, so that may change over the next month, and I'll keep an eye on it. See what we can do to improve the offense. If we let's look at some of the stats really quickly because we didn't do that. Louis Patino, 9-2, 2.5 WAR. He's pitching really well for us. Sui-Chan Yu, 8-4, 110 strikeouts in 116 innings. His FIP and his ERA are almost identical. Same with Cervantes, so they're pitching pretty much exactly as well as they should be. Jesus Luzardo, in his 1 year with the Shrimp, is doing pretty well. Bullpen-wise, Haifeng Yap continues to pitch great. Connor Jones. So again, our top three in our bullpen, Yap, Jones, and Baz, are all doing pretty well. Everybody else is struggling a bit. So, there could be some bullpen help that we go after potentially. And then in the lineup, we already talked a little bit about this, but Darian Perez is at 3.1 WAR. Bo Naylor is at 2.2. Caden Wallace is at 1.9. And Rob Ray is at 1.7. And that's really it. Everybody else is kind of below average. Walt Hart is at 1.2 WAR. He's he's still got a 927 OPS, but compared to last season, he's the doubles power or the gap power is basically gone. So for whatever reason. And then Diaz and Thomas are just not good right now. So we're going to sim ahead to the trade deadline, and we will likely make a deal or two to see what we can do to improve the offense and maybe the bullpen. So hang tight. We'll be back in a minute. All right, guys, it is the trade deadline. We are 73-43. It was a fantastic July as we went 21-7. We made a couple of moves to shore up the team, kind of short-term and long-term. So we'll look at, they'll both show up right here, so you'll see them both. But we sent Wilson Molina, a 22-year-old outfielder, 1.5 stars. Not great. I mean, bad personality. He's got some okay numbers. To Baltimore in exchange for Tanner Scott. We pick up that extra bullpen arm that we're looking for, and everybody knows Tanner's MO. Great stuff, great movement, 2 great pitches, and a bit wild. But he will slide into a setup role for us and hopefully solidify things a bit. The other deal we made was to improve things down the road. And we sent Luis Arraez and a minor league starting pitcher to the Indianapolis Maulers, the former Kansas City Royals, getting a 29-year-old reliever, Chris Bubic, and a 20-year-old outfielder in Danny Ramirez. Arraez, he was fine. Again, he was hitting 300, but for what we were paying him, we're not a team that can spend $23 million on somebody who's putting up a 780 OPS, so we made the decision to move on from the 30-year-old. One of the few contracts that I regret. In exchange, we got Bubic, who we immediately released. He was making $7.5 million this 1 year, just for the rest of this season. So we cut him. It cost us like $3 million or something to cut him. But we don't have to pay him for the next 2 years, and RAs comes off the books, so that gives us an additional $20-ish million for the next couple of years. And then we picked up Danny Ramirez, who's an interesting outfield prospect, got some good power, good gap power. He may, turn into something. He's a little young to be in rookie ball. So let's move up away. So those were the moves we made leading into the trade deadline. Didn't really feel it necessary. The offense has started to pick it up, and you'll see that when you look at the numbers here. We're up pretty much everywhere in our offensive ratings. Pitching is still fine, but you can see Alec Thomas is starting to hit. He's up to almost 300 now. He hit 385 in July, 385, 407, 505 in July after hitting 313 in June. So he's back, thankfully. Walt Hart has started to hit as well. The power is come back. Doubles power isn't there, but I'll sacrifice doubles for home runs. He's on pace for more home runs than he hit last year. He was another one who had a really, really good July. 305, 387, 780 with 11 home runs in July. So he was outstanding in the month of July. Who else played well? Darian Perez continues to hit the ball well. He's only got 55 RBIs and 31 home runs. So it might be in my best interest to see if I can find a different leadoff hitter next year and move Perez down in the lineup a bit to try to take advantage of his bat. I don't know who that would be because I don't really have anybody on my roster. Maybe, no, not Bob Riggs. His eye isn't very good, but he's having a pretty decent year too, 814 OPS. Noelvi Marte is back, thankfully. 13 games hitting 265. We needed his glove in the lineup, so thankfully he's back. We moved Richard Urena to second after trading RAs. So that's the offense. Actually, let's just do it this way. I didn't do it this way to begin. So Perez, 4.3 WAR. Bo Naylor, 16 home runs, 58 RBIs, 520 slugging, 2.8 WAR, 10 steals out of my catcher. Bob Ray, 18 home runs, 48 knocked in. He's only walked 17 times, but he's got 26 steals, so good for 2.5 WAR. Caden Wallace and Walt Hart both putting in about 2 WAR. Wallace struggled last month, but still putting up an 812 OPS. Judson Fabian hitting 326 for us, 15 for 46. He's doing exactly what we needed him to do. He's been great. 1.8 WAR. Alec Thomas, we mentioned, is starting to hit a little bit. DJ Gautier, our reliever, is hitting 571, and they have him playing second base every once in a while. Jason Dominguez, his first real taste of big league action, is doing all right. Urena's not hitting. Nobody else is hitting. Lewin Diaz is negative 0.6 WAR, so he's in his last legs with the Shrimp, I believe. Pitching wise, things are still looking good. Patino's 12-3, 3.4 WAR, almost a strikeout per inning, only giving up 6 hits. There's 6 home runs in 130 innings. Sweet Chan Yu and Sean Cervantes both doing pretty well. Jesus Luzardo, 10 wins. Yap, 32 saves already. He's been great. Miles Jansen, the rookie we called up in 9 starts, put up a 2.06 ERA. He's been really, really good as well. I don't suspect that's going to last. He's been good. Even his FIP is only 3.75. So I suspect he'll come back down to earth. But even if he ends up at 3.75, I'll take it. So things are looking pretty well. That trade did free up some money for us next year. You can see we have $34 million for contracts next year, which will be nice if we choose to, if we want to potentially bring back Luzardo. We're not going to bring back Diaz. We're probably not going to bring back Scott. Patino could opt out, so that money could give us some additional money to give to him. So we don't have a ton to do once we get to the off season. We'll have a couple players that we'll need to look at, but overall, I think we are in pretty good shape. If we look at the standings, Toronto, 5-game lead on Tampa in the East. Seattle with a 4-game lead on LA in the West over the National League. Nationals have the East locked up. They're up by 18 games. Brewers with a 6-game lead on the Cubs, and the Diamondbacks lead the Padres by 8. So not a lot of close races for the division title. Still have some tight races for the wild card. You can see 5 teams within a game here, 5 teams within 2 games here. So some good races down the stretch for the wild card, but the divisions are pretty much locked up. So that's going to do it for this episode. When we come back, it'll be the end of the season. We'll do an end of the season recap. We'll go through the postseason, and hopefully this will be the year that we finally break through. So thanks for watching. Leave a like, subscribe, and let me know your thoughts. Talk to you soon.